red. It's like, all right, next person. Tour starts, he goes, I want him with me. We became the best of friends. And he taught me how to do the job. Not like the academy. He said, listen, throw the shit that you learned in the academy, throw it out the fucking window.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you always hear that.
And my very first building check says, all right, listen, first thing I'm gonna teach you is you always look up when you're going in, when you're going out. Brings me up to the building, we walk up each flight, we're knocking on the walls, he's on one side, I'm on the other. You're not on the wall to let each other know that you're okay. Check to the window, the door, do the next floor. He said, we don't take the elevators, we walk. I'm like, all right, I was in shape, I didn't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the rooftop. The roof landing was,
Would you guys call that a vertical tour?
A vertical.
Vertical tour, yeah.
when I got to the roof landing, it fucking blew me away because I saw excrement on the walls. And I'm like, and the stench, I wanted to vomit, but I'm like, I can't vomit it from this guy. This guy will think I'm weak. So it's like, all right, this is where the addicts relieve themselves. You'll see an addict once in a while up here. You gotta move them, lock them up if you want. Get to the roof, and he starts telling me some of the stuff he did. Just a wild. This guy saw a woman getting raped. He was on the rooftop, on the next rooftop. He saw the guy raping her. She was screaming. He killed the guy with a .38 from one building to the other.
Wow.
With a shot, headshot.
Yeah, not gonna be down the stairs, up the stairs, and stop that.
I mean, he was a sniper. And I'm like, holy shit. We do a rest of the vertical. And he's like, all right, you go out first. I go out first. Fucking cinder block is thrown at me from the roof. I dive out of the way. I think someone shot at me. Pull my fucking gun out and do a fucking flip. I'm like, shit. Who's fucking shooting at me? He's like, holster your weapon. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Fucking half beaten. He's like, what did I tell you? Look over there. Cinder block smashed, literally 8 feet away from me. If it hit me, I would have been dead. This is what you learned today. I said, always look up, always look up.
Did Ralph tell us that?
Yep.
Ralph taught us that one.
And from that day on, you learn. And he was just teaching me all of these ins and outs. He taught me how to swing the nightstick like a weapon, basically like a nunchuck. At one point, I was pretty good at it. I could flip it behind my back, one side to the next.
Have a drill team.
So people just stayed away, And I didn't do it to intimidate people. It was just, I got into it. And that's pretty much, he taught me how to make collars, but he wasn't a big collar guy. So he just told me, when I make a collar, make a collar. It's when I went down to, when field training was over, I went down to Alphabet City, downtown Manhattan. And it was when Koch basically waged war against the addicts and the dealers. So everybody down there went. It didn't matter if you had a crack pipe, you were going through the system. There was no DATs. So I started going on roofs and I started watching.
DAT, you mean that's
Desperate parent, misdemeanor. Nobody was going, everybody went through the system.
Yeah, here at CT, we call them
PTAs, promise to
promise to
appear.
appear.
Oh, okay.
You don't show up, it's FTA, failure to appear.
Okay.
I know you guys call them DATs or just DTs. That's a great sentence.
So I got the bug when I started doing these surveillances for these recons. I started collaring dealers left and right. And there was this one lieutenant, he loved collar cops, but he fucking hated me. I don't know, because he thought I was a greaser, I kept my hair back a little longer. He always busted my balls over any kind of collar I made. His name was Wickowich.
Player hitter.
And
Wiggle Wigs, this one's for you.
He just fucking hated me, and I hated him. So,
But it's funny, because I think in any kind of agency, you talk to anybody, and you always run into somebody that just, you guys are never gonna click, no matter what. And he's never done nothing to you, you've never done nothing to him. And you know, somebody will ask you, well, why you got this bad blood with this dude? I don't know, man.
you just don't know. And I figured the guy was gonna love me, because I'm bringing in 5, 10 collars every month, which wasn't a lot for me. But I was a new guy. Guys weren't collaring as much as me.
But you were putting in work.
So, last day of pressure point comes, I'm there for 6 months. He goes, come here. You know, I'm trying to be respectful.
Pressure Point, that was the operation they called,
Yeah, Operation Pressure Point downtown in Alphabet City. It's like, you know where you're going? I'm like, no, where am I going? It's like, you're going to the belly of the beast. Okay. You going to PSC 6 in Harlem. I said, okay, I came from East Harlem.
Mhm.
How much worse could it be? And he's like, you'll see.
Now, what year is this?
It's 88 now. I got on in 87. 88, I'm in what he called the belly of the beast, which it was.
Now, that year, that crack is just everything.
It's just,
Crack is everything.
it was the crack era.
Yeah.
It was running rampant.
yeah, when that started, like 85, 86.
Yeah.
That's
It
boom.
came over from
That was the head of crack.
Los Angeles.
Yep.
And it just erupted. And teachers, lawyers, they did it just as a joy and got addicted to it. It was so fucking highly addictive.
Yep.
So I go into my first precinct, then I'm gonna be there permanently. I hooked up with a guy named Hondo. We became partners, and I started collaring people left and right. The problem was all the collars were off project. They were dealing across the street and then bringing the shit back into the projects. So my bosses were getting pissed off. You're not bringing any more. You're bringing it fucking off the project collars, knock it off. I'm like, you don't understand. The operations are on the outside and bringing it in. I'm trying to stop it. Well, you better knock it off. I didn't. I kept going.
Now you're making waves.
But I must have been making anywhere between 15 to 20 collars every month. So I was was one of the leaders in collars every month with about 2 other guys.
So go figure, the boss got mad because you were doing your job.
I wasn't, you know what it was? I'll admit it, I was not a well-rounded cop. I was there for one reason.
Well, you're a young dude, you know, and unfortunately, sometimes I think, you know, I got a job at 21, but I well-rounded.
You know, they wanted you to write sound engineers, they wanted you to be proactive with the people. I love the people in Harlem. Harlem was like a second home to me. But I was just addicted to making drug collars and gun collars. And probably my second year there, I was working with my partner and I was collaring 3 guys for drugs. I hear a bunch of shots going off. Down the street, I'm like, fuck, that's close. He's in the, my partner's in the car. I'm like, that's fucking close, Mike. And I hear 2-5 precinct yelling, Central, we got a stolen car, 2 occupants, they're firing at us. And we're heading down 124th Street. I'm on 124. 124 and 2nd, they're on 3rd. I cut the guys loose. I'm like, it's your lucky day. Get the fuck out of here. And I could see the car coming right at me. So I put myself against the wall, take my gun out, because I hear the shots being exchanged. This guy takes a right, the driver takes a right, crazy ass right. He's driving with his left hand, sees me, points the gun and fires at me. It's like 2 shots. One bullet goes right over my fucking head, hits the brick, shatters into my neck. Fuck. I have no vest on. I never used to wear my vest in the beginning. So I'm running at the car, I blasted 4 times. I know I hit the car, I hit the door. So he takes a turn down on 117th Street. He's going like 60. Car flips.
Oh, shit.
Somebody.
What was this guy driving? I gotta know.
It was a Toyota. So in my fucking head, I'm going, man, I made that car flip. So my partner's like, get in the car. I'm like, no, go after him. I'll cut through the parking lot. Cut through the parking lot. They flipped the car so many times. They both lost their shoes.
Holy shit.
They're dressed in all black. They're running. The guy that took the original shot at me sees me, takes another shot at me. I fucking take a shot at it. Actually, I emptied my gun, which was 2 more shots. And they run down 116th Street, go into a building, take a family hostage, and they're hiding in a bathtub. Somebody in the building saw it, called the cops. ESU came and they grabbed it. So in the car, there's tasers, bunch of money, coke, and a few more guns, and rope. These guys were going into Washington Heights and ripping off the car counts, not knowing who they were robbing.
They're gonna go right with Dominicans at the Heights?
So basically, you did him a favor.
That's what we said. We said to them, you're lucky we caught you.
Yeah.
Because you were either dead before you even got to where you were gonna go. So, one of my bosses was very close with he writes me up for a combat cross. He says, you're gonna get it, no problem. I'm like, all right, cool. Second highest medal in the department, fucking, that's great. I'm so disliked by the brass that they knocked the medal down 2 notches and gave me an authority commendation. I'm fucking fuming. I'm like, oh my God. So I go see the chief. 4 days later, you gotta hand your gun in, they gotta test it, and they ask you questions and all that shit.
I'm making car flip, motherfucker.
And, my partner goes in first, and he's asked, what do you want? Where do you want to go? Mind you, he didn't do nothing.
Mhm.
Just was in the car. Says, yeah, I want to go into the academy to teach. Okay, we'll see what you can do. About a year later, he goes there. I get called, and I'm like, I want out of uniform. I want to be in undercover, I want to be in plain clothes. I'll be in the anti-crime unit. I only had maybe 2.5 years on the job. Oh, but he already had 200 fucking collars. It's like, oh, no, you don't have enough time on you. You got to stay on patrol. I'm like, I have 200 collars. How do I not have enough time on the job?
Probably more than the guys on the unit.
So it's like, no. You're staying on patrol. Okay. Now that just fucking lit a fire under my ass, and I just start collaring everybody. And I'm averaging between 15 to 30 hours every month, probably about at least 75 hours. Now they put me on the hit list for overtime. So I'm on everybody's shit with this. This goes on for like 2 more years. I go in and out of helping anti-crime once in a while. I'm in plain clothes and stuff. And I'm literally going after some big time drug gangs. And one of the drug gangs was called Purple City. And there's actually a movie made about them on YouTube called Hell Up in Harlem. And they
That had nothing to do with Prince, though.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Prince.
No.
Hell Up in Harlem?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to check it out.
And they talk about, they operated from 2nd Avenue to 3rd Avenue, 122nd Street. They controlled that and 123rd, a little part, because across the street on 124th Street, believe it or not, Hell's Angels,
No.
headquarters there.
Hell up in Harlem, Hell's Angels across the street.
None of them had the balls to even walk on that side of the street. The cops did. They all just left them alone. It's the way, hey guys, how you doing?
No, now what chapter was that? Cause
That I don't
Zito was in the Bronx, cause Zito was
Yeah.
running the Bronx.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, because I'm not into, like, is it motorcycle gang shit, but, I mean, the whole street, on a strong fucking street were all bikes. They were going in and out of their place, nobody fucked with them. So these guys have control of 122nd Street, they take over the 10 old towers, two big buildings. And I'm at war with them, collaring all their dealers, their lieutenants. There's two guys I couldn't catch. A guy named Wangi, and the fuck was his other guy's name? Max. Max about this big.
Nothing Max about Max.
Just couldn't catch them dirty. I ended up pulling over Max with my sergeant. I became a sergeant driver, but the guy let me collar whenever I wanted. My partner went to the academy, and he said, "You want to drive me? I'll be your partner. You do whatever you want." Gave me free reign of the city,
Nice.
and that's what we did. I wreaked fucking havoc, and he loved it because he had to go down and get caught into overtime. So we're following Max, and I'm like, he's dirty. I'm fucking pulling him over. We're pulling him over. He's got like fucking 20 grand in cash under his seat. I had seen him come out of the bodega where they were doing stuff right before he got in the car. So I'm like, Max, I'm gonna have to impound your car and take your cash unless you give me a legitimate reason why you have it. Well, I own the bodega. I'm like, ew. Okay.
Damn them bodega guys.
That's a lot of Lucy's.
That's a lot of Chico sticks, bitch.
So I can't do nothing to him. Fuck, man. I know it's not. I know it's a fucking operation. These guys were doing, on an average every day, between $30,000 to $50,000 in sales.
And that was back in the 80s, which
It was
is,
back in the early 90s.
That's a lot. That's a lot of meat to me.
that was a lot then, never mind now.
I mean, they're pumping it out.
Mhm.
And there were probably about 3 other cops in my command, and there were probably about 25 precinct guys that were just going after these guys. And then anti-crime and OCCB. So now I'm getting very close to getting into an anti-crime unit. And the boss of, it's called PSU, the Patrol Stabilizing Unit, which they turned into narcotics, he didn't like me. And he's like, Pete, you think you can, I was working for him that night. You think he can not get into a fucking shooting tonight? Because the week before I was in a shooting, I ended up shooting an attack dog. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I go in, I'm going into this building. I'm in an army jacket, my hair was a little long, I had to keep my hair in a ponytail when I was on patrol. And dirty my face up so the regulars don't know who I am.
Mhm.
Go into this building, this monster was fucking dealing to this girl. I keep my head down, she walks behind me and he's like, what do you want? I'm like, give me 3. He takes out the 3 and I pull out my shield, I'm like, you're under arrest, motherfucker. I don't have my gun out yet. He looks at me, he's like, oh yeah? Picks me up, oh shit, off my fucking feet. And I'm chopping his arms. I can't break it. Trying to headbutt him, trying to do whatever I can do. He runs me out of the fucking front door. We go down into the cement. And I see this lieutenant of Purple City holding a pit bull that weighed about 150 pounds, all muscled out, spike collar. And he gives the dog an order to kill me, to fucking attack me. And this thing is charging. Looked like a fucking horse. So I'm like, okay, fuck this. I used to wrestle in high school, so I kick the guy off me and I kick him towards the dog. The dog is tearing him apart.
Nice.
Ripping him apart. I finally get up, I pull my gun. The guy says in his Spanish order to stop. and to attack me. Dog's coming at me. I pump 4 rounds into the dog. Each time I hit the dog, he's this close to me.
You pissed him off.
No doubt. I'm shooting him. He's jumping up and still coming at me.
Holy shit.
I got 1 fucking bullet left. I got my off duty.
Oh, God, I don't.
I'm like, I'm fucked. 1 bullet. One of the other cops that worked in the crime unit come over to me. They puts his name is Roddy, puts his gun over my shoulder. He said, stand still. Pops the dog behind the ear, puts him down. Also fucked my hearing up for life, but saved me. Dog is withering in pain now. People are hurling bottles at us from the Taino Towers. I got a nickname called the Batman when I was working.
Every town the cops have their nicknames.
Oh,
And here in town, we have Running Man, RoboCop, they all have names still.
so the dog is withering in pain. We call over the air, officer involved in shooting. Now all the other anti-crime cops come. And this other girl goes, are you all right, Poppy? I'm like, yeah, Wanda, I'm okay. It's like, oh my God, the dog's still alive. So some guy says, hey, Batman, that was some fucking cruel shit you did. I said, you think that was cruel, motherfucker? I go over to the dog because he's in pain.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do a mercy kill.
Yeah.
But I'm like, fuck this, I love dogs.
Yeah.
I put my gun into the dog's eye and shoot. Every cop's jaw dropped. They were like, holy shit, what the fuck? They're like, all right, we gotta go. We see this.
Now picture you doing that
Oh, my God.
this day and age. Holy shit, you'd be on CNN in a minute.
I'd be in a holy cell right away.
Hold that story for 1 second. We can't go nowhere anymore. We gotta stop the process right now and go into lightning round on that story. Right now we need to know you better. So every podcast we run somebody through our lightning round. Very quick, very precise. I say you gotta pick one. There's no fence, there's no gray, there's no can we talk about this, can we discuss this, Jimmy? I'm impartial. No bullshit. You're in good company. Everybody who's been on the show has gone through a lightning round, and we just like to see who they are. And that's why I asked you your age earlier today. So,
I'm ready.
you ready for the lightning round, Pete? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into our lightning round with Pete. You ready, Pete?
Yes, sir.
Giants or Jets?
Giants,
Yankees or Mets?
Yankees,
Archie Bunker or Al Bundy?
Archie Bunker,
Harvey Keitel or Tommy Lee Jones?
Cartel,
Kwai-Chan King, Grasshopper or Billy Jack?
Billy Jack,
I know that's your boy. I know. Dirty Harry or Josie Wales?
Dirty Harry,
Apocalypse Now or Deer Hunter?
Deer Hunter,
Beatles or Elvis?
Beatles,
Rolling Stones or Zeppelin?
Stones,
Who's the cooler bald guy, Telly or Yul Brynner?
Yul Brynner,
Last but not least, James Conner or Gene Hackman?
Gene Hackman, come on.
All right, good round. All right, and that was our lightning round. I like it. You had it. Exactly. I think the James Conner, Gene Hackman there, that's a toughie. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but French Connection is one of my favorite.
Who could go wrong with Popeye Doyle?
You pick your feet and get Poughkeepsie.
Exactly. And that's got one of the first high-speed chase scenes in history of movies.
One of the greatest car chases ever.
When it comes to movies, Western or mob?
Mob.
Okay. All right. So keep on telling your story. So the dog, you took him out of his misery.
So we taped the dog up, his mouth up with electrical tape, bring him to the ASPCA. And
Don't you bring them for help?
No, he died of lead poisoning.
Overdose.
I couldn't leave him there. So the captain's waiting for me. And he's just like, you just couldn't follow fucking orders.
He just told you the day before to shoot him.
I'm like, the fucking dog was trying to kill me. He's like, you're always going to have an excuse. I'm like,
To your defense, you didn't shoot anybody. You shot him.
yeah. So he's like, all right, I'll talk to you later. So I ended up making, this came out of one collar. I was in uniform. I grabbed a guy in 135th and Park Avenue, New York Park, Play Park area for playground. His name is Grandpa, when I call him up. He's an albino black guy. Nice guy. Take him in.
Isn't that Colonel Sanders?
Yes. Older looking guy. He's like, I can't go to jail. This is the second time I got collared this week. I'm like, you were put in for a felony the first time? He's like, yeah, I just got out. I'm like, you're fucked.
That's hard-headed dude.
You are doing at least 10 years now. 'Cause I got them for like 100 bags. It was crack, but they were the first group to put it in the little zip bags. They didn't put it in the paper, the
Vials?
vials.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? He goes, they were blue bags, and they'll forget it. It's like, yeah, that's our color. We're the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
Okay? He starts giving me these names. I call my buddy at ATF, Jimmy. Became very close with him. He was trying to get me down to ATF to be part of
Task force.
the Hyder Task Force when it first started. He comes right away. I'm like, listen, we got a gold mine here. This guy is gonna give us 3 fucking warrants. It's got like 30 defendants in it. It's like, all right. We get the warrants from him. 2 days later, the captain who hates me, he's running the operation. You know who John Miller is from the news?
John Miller.
ABC News. He was on American Most Wanted too. He's doing the story on the belly of the beast. They're on their 5th segment on a Friday. So they're doing it on my warrants.
Yep.
So Jimmy and I go over to him and say, listen, can you do us a favor, stay out of the area until we do the warrants. There were 3 places, 2 apartment buildings in this house called Little House on the Prairie. It's just like this little shack right on Park Avenue, actually on Madison, between 133 and 134. And we knew they were dealing marijuana in it. And we were told they were probably going to have about 50 pounds of marijuana in it, plus a few weapons. Miller decides to go there the night before with his ABC fucking van, and he starts taking video. They're in the house, they wait for him to leave, they empty the fucking house, it's empty when we hit it. So we're like, what the fuck?
Thanks a lot, Miller.
I'm like, there's nothing here. So the boss says, were you around here last night? He's like, yeah, we filmed. I'm like, I hope he didn't go to the other places. The other warrants were great. I went into, there was this guy called KK. He was their enforcer. The name of the group was called FEB, Fuck Everybody. Violent group.
Not TCB.
Okay. And I'm like, I'm going to do KK's warrant. So Jimmy and I did it. And he had told the guys in his group, I'm not going back to jail. They come after me, I'm fucking blazing.
But wow.
So we were ready. I'm like, all right, let's do him. I'll fucking pop him if he even looks at me wrong. We bang his door and crash in. Guy's on the shitter. So we kick the door and I'm like, make a move and you're done. It's like, you got me. He's got a 45 on the couch and lockbox, like a safe. And on his mother's desk, there's a marble notebook. And it's got everybody's name in the fucking game.
Bingo.
Like 32 players. What they do, who was working, all this money that they were taking in, but they encrypted it where they only knew it. So we're trying to figure out what the fuck it means. Jimmy ends up getting me to go down to Hyder. So I'm part of the task force now. A lot of strings had to be pulled, but that's another story. I pissed off a chief that thought I went to the U.S. attorney
You wanna
to
bump
get
it
in there.
Above his back, yeah. above his back.
He basically, the chief of the department basically got threatened, if you don't let Officer Thron come, we're subpoenaing you in the morning. So, okay,
So
well,
you
no.
really pissed him off.
Oh. But he's thinking that I did it. I didn't beg to go on. You get me done, you get me done. I didn't go to the U.S. attorney. The cop doesn't have that kind of juice. I don't know anybody in the department. So they're pissed that I'm down there. And now I get a car, credit card, everything.
Fair treatment.
No boss. The agents are my bosses.
Yeah.
So I was literally doing 150 hours of overtime every month, going through doors with group 1, group 5. They're cowboys, wild men. So now I'm starting to, I want to say, I'm starting to become one of them. Because you're with somebody long enough,
What they say, when in Rome.
you're gonna become that.
I'm gonna say iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
Sorry, iron sharpens iron.
So we get the FBI to decipher the book, which they did guy did it in like 45 minutes. Okay, this is easy. Breaks it down to us, we're like, holy shit. So now we get it. I have a CI that was amazing. We introduce him to a dealer in Manhattan. He's buying crack from them for like 2 weeks. So now he does an introduction with one of their undercovers at ATF. Now they're buying thousands of fucking vials. We end up buying a gun from these guys, this guy named Kenny. And I had to transcribe all the tapes for the buys.
Mhm.
So I'm transcribing, and I'm like, I hear, this has got bodies on it, be careful. But he said it quick. So I'm replaying it, I'm like, fuck,
Got bodies on it.
this gun has a few bodies on it, Jim, we gotta find out what it is. And he let it out that it was part of the intercontinental shooting. There was a big shooting back in Harlem where a few people were killed, a few people were injured, big shooting. So now we call the FBI, and they're doing a big investigation on that. I'm like, okay, so we tie him into that. We ended up getting warrants for everybody, all the gang members, and a bunch of search warrants. We easily bought over 100,000 vials of crack cocaine.
Holy shit.
Guns, money. When we arrested everybody, we couldn't catch one guy. And this poor bastard, I can't remember his name, he was just listed in the book as a lieutenant. We never saw him doing anything. Not Max, can't remember his name, but the guy, we never saw the guy in the street. He goes on the run, we're looking for the guy for a week, we can't find him. Call in the marshals, they catch him in 2 days. He's gonna be a lifer if he goes, he's got 2 felonies on him.
Part 3, see ya.
The main guy, this guy named Lester, he ends up rolling on it, all of them. Tells us everything. This guy did this for me, this guy did this. So he has to testify in court. The guy that we never saw, somehow corrections messed up and they were passing each other in the tombs.
Oh.
The guy fucking sliced him. Gave him like 80 stitches.
Buck 50.
Yeah,
The Buck 50.
fucked him up. No. So they stitch him up. I'm like, is he gonna testify? He's like, yeah, he's gonna testify. Fuck him. So he testifies, and nobody got less than 10 years. Guys were getting 20 years. This guy that we never caught doing anything, he gets life. And like 2 other guys got life too. Big, it ended up being, at the time, the largest crack cocaine case in the Southern District history. They're big ones now, but at the time. So now that the case ends and they're trying to get me down there for good, because now I'm up for promotion. My main thing was I wanted to become a detective. That's my it's the only thing I wanted to be.
Get the gold shield.
That's all I wanted. I didn't want to be a boss, I just wanted to be a detective. And they're telling me, you should just roll over, be an agent. I want my shield. Should have listened to him. So now I'm ordered to go back up to PSA 6 and go into the anti-crime unit. But now I'm in that mode of cowboy mode. So I'm making collars, we're making really good collars. And this is when my life turned upside down. One night, I couldn't catch, my partner couldn't catch. But girl cop needed the collar and a few cops, and the other team wanted the collar. So my boss like, who wants the collar? They raised their hands. He's like, Pete, do you know any places? I'm like, yeah, we can go up to the Heights. We'll go after one of the mini cartels, one of the factions. It's gotta be near a project. I'm like, it's near a project, don't worry about it. I'll do the buy. We don't do buys. I'm like, I'll mimic a buy. I'll be in and out and that's it. I was gonna do the buy anyway.
Yeah.
Use my own money and then get the fuck out. What was it, 60, it was $100. So I go down 164th Street and at the corner of Amsterdam, guy comes up to me and says, what do you want? I said, I'll take blow with China white, what do you have? We got blow, all right? So we go into, I tell my partner and the girl, ghost me, don't stay close, stay a block away from me, and do not follow me. You'll fucking get me killed. I have no vest on, no radio, just my piece, my 38 in my back.
Yep.
So we go into this building. It's a railroad apartment building. He goes through the hallway up like a mini first floor. So little landing, 3 steps, 2 guys are sitting on it, and there's the door right here. He puts the key in the door and turns it back. He says, you know, you look like a cop. I'm like, listen, we're either gonna do the fucking deal or I'll go down to the Colombians. I don't need your coat. I'll go right down the street and we'll do a deal with you. No, all right, man. No problem. He said, what do you got? Who we want to buy? So we are about to get into the apartment and I hear 2 voices. And they're white voices. White and Spanish.
Yeah.
And I know one of them. It's my partner.
Oh, your partner. Yeah.
I'm a dead man. Guy looks at him, he's like, what do you guys want? I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? They've never done a buy in their lives. I did buys for guns, drugs, whatever, you name it, I was doing it with the ATF.
Yeah.
Because smell the bacon in the room right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, we want drugs. We want drugs. He says, all right.
We would like some cocaine, my man.
So now,
Hey, Ron.
he lets us in the apartment, it's a railroad apartment. All the rooms are on the left side, the kitchen's on the right. The living room goes to the front of the building.
Yeah.
And there's a fire escape there. So now I'm counting heads, I'm like, great. I got 5 people in it, when it would have been one-on-one. Would have did the buying, that would have been it. So he goes in, I'm looking at them, I'm like, just stay there. Guy goes, all right, you come first, you're the first guy, you're in line first.
Oh, courteous.
I'm like, thank you very much.
Yes.
Belly counter.
So there's a big spindle. Remember where the telephone trucks used to put their big wires on?
Oh, yeah.
That's the table. And on the table's a scale. There's a loose door against the wall. And he reaches behind it. I'm thinking that he's going to get a gun. I'm like, put my hand behind him, ready to fucking blast. Pulls out a bag, he's like, how much you want? I'm like, all right, give me an 8 ball. Weighs it out, puts it in the bag. I fucking pull my shield up. He goes to get up. I kick the table
Mhm.
and I wedge him into the wall. And I pull my gun out. You make a move, I'm gonna fucking blast you. All right. I said, you see this? I'm a cop. Tell them, pull your fucking shields out. Get them, put them on their knees. The guy is yelling out in Spanish. I don't understand Spanish. That we're doing a rip-off.
Espanol, learn that shit. It'll save your life.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. So I'm like, Sharon, what the fuck is he saying?
So you're gonna rip off him?
He's doing a fucking rip. He's saying we're doing a rip. I said, tell him in Spanish we're fucking cops right now. Put your fucking shield in his face. He don't give a shit. He's still saying. So I got a situation, bad one. So I grabbed the buyer, bring him in the back. I'm like, what are you doing here? So I'm here to buy. I said, okay. Go through the fire escape and go through. You go through out the fire escape, you go down one right to the bottom, and there's a pathway for the garbage, and it leads to the front. So you go out that way. It's your fucking lucky day. I'm thinking I'm doing these guys a favor.
You keep coming?
I'm not locking them up. So now I hear the door being smashed in. I look at the top, and the top is moving. I'm like, Chris, those are the 4 guys that were in front of the building. They had guns, and they're here to fucking kill us. Keep your gun out. If they come through, shoot them. They're not here to say hello. They're gonna kill us.
Fucking cracking when I alerted him?
No, the guy that we were locking up, windows in the back and the living room were open. So he was screaming to them, they're doing a rip on me.
That's what it was.
So I grabbed the second guy, I pat him down, he's got a wad and a bulge in his pocket. I put my gun on.
Damn that neighborhood watch.
I'm like, empty your fucking pockets right now. He does, he throws a gravity knife and a wad of bills. I said, what are you doing here? We hit it by it. Like an idiot, I'm asking him, do you know any other places? Not really concentrating on the front door. I'm trying to make more collars like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know this place. I said, all right, take your shit, get the fuck out of here. He just bolts, runs, leaves his shit. I tell my partners, I got found property, will vouch for it at the precinct. I put it in my vest in front of them, zip it up, my jacket. And now the door is quiet. As I'm walking towards my partners, I hear 3 shots go off right under my feet. I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. I know it happened. They popped one of the guys that I let go. I'm like, fuck, this isn't good. So I said to Sharon and my partner, grab that fuck and put him in front of us and use him as a shield.
Why not?
If they start shooting, he goes first and we shoot back at them. I'm not getting shot tonight. We get outside the front and there are hundreds of people on the street and they're pointing down to the corner. See the guy running with the gun. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go after him. I'll get my fucking combat crossing one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm chasing him, can't catch him. Finally go back. Now there's somebody cop goes on the scene. My boss is like, what's going on here? I'm like, we were doing a buy. He's like, all right, take it back to the house. I'm standing on the stoop and I hear, oh, my stomach. I'm like, look at this. He's behind the gate, slumped over.
A shot?
He didn't make it over the gate because they fucking plugged him.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, what do you mean your stomach hurts? I'm praying he just drank bad fucking quick, some kind of quick or something. I'm like, oh, and he fucking faints and it's blowing out. I'm like, fuck. In my mind, I'm going, I'm not going to get promoted now. I'm a month away from getting promoted and getting the fuck out of there and going to the squad. In my sick mind, I'm going, oh, fuck, now I'm not thinking about getting locked up. I'm thinking I'm not going to get fucking promoted. So my boss is like, is this related? I'm like, no. I panicked.
Yeah.
I panicked. So we get back to the house, try to get our story straight. I said, all right, this is going to be voucher this found property, voucher the scale, and the drugs. The girl says, I don't have the scale, I don't have the drugs. I mean, it's your car, what the fuck are you talking about?
Left it in the apartment?
She left it in the apartment.
Went to the store and forgot the money?
So I'm like, okay, then we're still gonna charge him with sale because he tried to sell to me. The 3 cops, they went to the apartment, secured it, and took the drugs. This is the same time that the 30-30 happened. I don't even know that. I didn't know these guys were running rampant.
Yeah.
So the lieutenant on the desk, he pulls the girl over and he's like, you don't want this collar, make him. I'm like, I'm not taking it, although I gotta fucking watch my kid in the morning. She said she wanted the collar, she's taking it. He's like, well, you're helping him with the paperwork. Okay, I'll fucking print the guy, I'll help her and get him out of here. So as we're doing all the paperwork, the captain comes in, who was very good friends with, he's like, you got a problem. They're saying that you ripped the guy off. I didn't rip anybody off, boss. All right, I'm gonna go down to the 3-4, the complainant's at the 3-4 precinct, not the 3-0.
Yeah.
I'll get it squashed.
Why was it before that 3-0? Wasn't it 3-0 that ones that showed up?
Yeah, the guy was walking, and he just walked in to their precinct, because it was like, it's only a few blocks away.
Gotcha.
So Captain Lennox goes down to 3-4, he tells me, with the other cops, get our books up, IAB's coming down to check your books.
Mhm.
All right. I'm not thinking I'm in trouble, you know. I'm a little nervous because the guy got shot. So this guy, Lieutenant Burwell from IAB, who the guy was hunting me for 5 years. He goes to the precinct where Captain Lennox is. And he sees Captain Lennox talking to the detectives. And Lennox has got a squash. It's gonna go nowhere. He yells at him, he's like, you're not on the case, you're too close to the officer. We know you guys are good friends, you're off the case. And this guy, my captain's in fucking uniform.
Mhm.
He's the fucking duty captain for the night. He's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. He keeps talking to him. Now he gets close to him, he's like, did you fucking hear me? You're off the case. Lieutenant can't talk to a captain like that.
Mhm.
So he turns around, he's like, really? Give me your gun and shield, you're fucking suspended. Yeah. Lieutenant Burwell runs out of the fucking precinct, gets on one of those big phones back then,
Yep, the brick.
calls the DI, the commanding officer of internal affairs, and tells him what's going on. He said, put fucking Lennox on the phone. Lennox goes on the phone, he's like, what's up, Inspector King? Now, these guys used to patrol together as cops for 3 years. They were good friends. He says, Al, you're not suspended, Burwell. Let him finish the investigation. And let's get this done with. He says, no, I'm suspending him for fucking insubordination.
The captain was adamant.
He says, okay, well, now you're suspended. Lennox says, okay, really? Listen, you pot smoking fuck.
Oh, shit.
You can't suspend me over the phone, you gotta do it in person. So drive over here from Staten Island. Oh, Al, we don't gotta go there. All right, you can suspend Burwell, but don't give the report a number.
Yep.
Okay, he knows what he's gonna do.
We know that one.
He's gonna fucking rip that shit up.
Here's the captain.
Once you give it the number, it's in.
So he does 2 reports. Gives one of them a number. Hands in the blank one, Burwell's not suspended. So I'm kicked out of crime within 2 weeks. I don't hear nothing for like 6 months. I'm collaring people because now I'm pissed. I'm not getting promoted, and now I'm back in the bag. I'm like, fuck this. Everybody's going. I'm still collaring. 6 months later, my CO calls me and he's like, listen, they're investigating you hard. They're coming after you. I'm like, all right, they can do whatever they got to do. I get a call that night from the girl at my house.
The girl that botched the fucking thing in the first place.
Yeah. She's like, listen, we gotta talk. I'm like, what's there to talk about? You gotta tell them the truth. I said, I did tell them the truth. I gave them my fucking report. You gotta tell them the truth. Well, I'm not sticking to the story. I said, there's no story to stick to. Just tell them what happened. Tell them the truth. She's like, I'm not going down for this. I said, Sharon, don't ever call my fucking house again. And I'm like, there's two lieutenants that hated me. I'm like, Captain Honorado and Captain Burwell. Don't fucking call my house again. And I click them.
You knew they were on the line too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm down at court, and I had two DAs that I was very close with that I brought all my narcotic collars to them. All of them. They probably did about 400 of my narcotic collars. One guy's name is Matt Schwartz, really good guy.
At this time, how much time you done on the job?
At that time, I had about 8 years on. And he sees me, he says, listen, I gotta talk to you after let's get dinner at Fellini's, meet me there at 5 o'clock. I call into the command, I bang out, and I meet him. I know what it is.
I went to Philippines.
And I'm fucking nervous. He's like, listen, man, your name's at the Special Prosecution Office. You're gonna be indicted. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. What am I gonna do? I said, do you have time to come over to the house and check the case out? So the next day, him and one of the other ADA come, about 8 cops that I was close with. We have dinner, we got all the paperwork spread out. So we all figure out, all right, if you do get indicted, if you get found not guilty for the robbery, they have nothing. The larceny and everything else goes away. Okay.
So now this all ties back to when you put the property in your pocket
And vouch it, yes.
and chase the guy and then the incident
All
took the shit.
all that property's vouched,
Yep.
it's with the police department.
Gotcha.
So that's what, or sometimes what they call chain of custody.
Yeah.
Everything's good, and sure enough, my PBA lawyer, and I was a PBA delegate for 5 years, so I know everything. I know everything.
Yep.
I'm there with another cop, and just come on in, Pete. His phone rings. He goes, it's the DA. Okay, puts him on speaker. First words out of this DA's mouth, he says, listen, just wanted to let you know, if the 3-0 didn't happen, your guy would have never been looked at. It would have been handled within the department. They talked for a little while, they were arranging fucking bail and my surrender.
That's some shit.
So due to the social climate, you became flavor of the month.
Well, I was thrown in with the 3-0.
You were the 3-1.
Yeah, the lone wolf.
Yep.
And he hangs up and I'm looking at him, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You're arranging that I gotta surrender? I said, he just told you I was innocent. He told you it was gonna be handled with the department, they got 30 days. I was ready to take the 30 fucking days. It's like, there's nothing I can do. We made the arrangements for the bail. So my bail is $100,000. I gotta put up 2 houses, mine and my mother's, with 10 grand cash. Before this happened, I was bringing all my warrants to this one judge, who I became extremely close with. On a first base name basis. I don't know many cops that can call a judge by his first name. So I go in his court for the fucking arraignment. And his head's down, he's signing some stuff. He looks up, he goes, what do you got, Pete? What do you got for me today? Thinking I got a warrant.
No, you're the one today.
I'm like, I don't have anything. The fucking DA flips out. He doesn't have a fucking warrant. He's the fucking one. He's the defendant. He stops everything, looks, and he's like, I know this man. I've been working with him for 4 years. What's going on here? And he looks at it, he goes, $100,000 bail. The guy's, he's going nowhere. I'm not signing off on this. I want him ROI. Problem was I signed off on all the paperwork. He says, well, he signed off on everything. If you don't do it, he's going into the tombs for Friday night. And that was their thing. They wanted to get me into the tombs. It sounds fucked up. They wanted to get me fucking
They wanna
killed.
get you fucked up, yeah. No other way around it.
So he signs off on it. I get out. He tries his ass off to keep the case because he's going to get it thrown. He's going to fucking squash it and that's it. The DA pushes to get it to another judge. They don't know that I know about the wheel system. When a person gets arrested, they put the name in the wheel, and that's how the DA's picked. They put their hand in it, and whoever's picked gets the case. They don't know that I know this. This first judge that gets it is Andreas, and he does all the hearings, finds me guilty of everything. Not guilty, but rules for the state. I'm like, I'm going to trial, I don't give a fuck. I'm fighting. I want my shield and I want my fucking job. PBA lawyer calls me and says, listen, we can't represent you. I'm like, really? It's like, we're too nervous. We don't think we can handle this. I'm like, you're fucking lawyers. You can't handle this? It's like, it's too much. I find out that they're representing my partner and the girl.
Conflict of interest all of a sudden.
So I'm like, and I'm screaming, I'm like, tell Timmy Nichols he's a fucking asshole. I was a delegate for years. So now I gotta find a lawyer. Now I gotta come out of pocket. I train every dollar that I have invested.
That was with our department. You get that big manila envelope, you're good. That means the state's defended. You get the little white envelope, so then you go get your own lawyer.
Yeah. So I get a lawyer who is really good. He says, you got a good chance of winning this. You can get your job back. We take it to trial. Before the trial, Andreas excuses himself as the judge. He's up to go get promoted to the Court of Appeals.
Okay.
He doesn't want anything to do with a trial that's going to be in the media.
It's gonna be in the media, some negative inference maybe.
So he gives it to this guy, Judge Atlas. They don't put my name back in the wheel.
Oh, it should have been in the wheel.
It should have been put back in the wheel. So this guy gets this case. My lawyer's like, listen, this guy fucking hates law enforcement. He hates cops, anybody that's in law enforcement. You gotta have a problem. I'm like, well, we're going to trial. I don't give a fuck. I'm not pleading out. They got me for an armed robbery, larceny, grand larceny, perjury, and official misconduct, and falsifying business records. My memo book,
Yes.
because I put myself somewhere else. So we take it, I go to trial, and I took the stand. Not many people take the stand that they're on trial. I'm on the fucking stand for 2 days. And when he's charged, he knew that I had the jury, the judge. He knew it.
Yeah.
So when he's charging the jury, he picks up a glass of water from his clerk and drinks half of it, puts it back down. He goes, see what I just did? That's a form of stealing.
You drank your clerk's water.
He didn't give me permission to take it. So I'm like,
Basically, you know where you were headed now.
Yeah.
This is an example where we're going.
I'm going, okay, so you're saying because I vouched the money, he couldn't get his money back. Great. I get found not guilty of the robbery, thank God. Guilty of the larceny because he did the fucking thing with the water. And guilty of falsifying business records, not guilty of the other charges.
Yeah.
So my lawyer's like, all right, it's all non-violent felonies. You're gonna be okay. I'm like, I'm losing my fucking job. I'm not gonna be okay. It's like, I think you're gonna be all right jail-wise. Jail? I had a captain and a lieutenant write me letters. And the captain wrote in his letter, I'm officially retiring because I can't rest in silent purgatory seeing a cop that was trying to do the right thing
You get fucked, basically.
and destroyed. And the lieutenant wrote right out, he wrote, the judge was biased and hated all cops, and he hated Pete, Officer Thron. And he wrote, Officer Thron was the best collar cop I've ever experienced in my life. They get back to the commands. They're suspended for 30 days without pay.
Yes.
Judge hits me with 2 to 4 years. I get taken away right there. I'm like fucking saying goodbye to my family. My mother's flipping out, my brother and sister. And I get bailed out 2 weeks later. I'm out for about a year and a half. I scrounged up enough more money to do the appeal.
Yep.
Got to pay my lawyer. My original lawyer didn't want to do it, so I got another lawyer. He calls me and says, okay, I'm going in tomorrow. I think you're going to be all right. I said, so what time are we going to meet you? Now, you don't have to be there. It's a court of appeals. There's 6 judges, and they're going to rule on you.
Yep.
You don't got to be there. I'm just listening to what he says.
He's the pro.
So at 9 o'clock the next night, I don't get a call. And I'm like, well, this can't be good. He calls me and he says, are you sitting down? I'm like, what? I'm like, why, Ben? He's like, well, you have 4 judges that are ruling for you, but there's 2 judges that are against you. I'm like, why? I said, what's their names? Don't know why I asked him.
Mhm.
He says, well, one of them was a woman, and he says the last guy was Judge Andreas. Oh. So I'm like, Ben, he can't fucking be on this. He's making rulings on his own fucking on the hearings. I said, it's a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you tell him to recuse himself, there's 12 other, you'll get another trial. There's 12 other judges, but they're gonna, no matter what, they're all gonna rule against you.
Not gonna back your buddy up.
So I'm like, what the fuck do I do? I said, that's why I wanted to come. I wanted to see the judges. I could have told you to tell him to recuse yourself before it even started, and they would have just called another one in right away.
Mhm.
I said, you fucked me. He's like, all right, I'll stall them for another week, and we'll see what they say.
By that time, he poured you the pot.
They ruled against me. Now I gotta surrender again. And that was a fucking nightmare. The first day, I'm in my cell alone in PC.
So where'd they send you to?
I went right to Rikers first, and then went to Oneida. But I had to go downstate, and one of the transition jails in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And the first day,
Transition, not transgender.
no, not transgender. So I'm at Rikers.
So hold on, so we gotta ask the question. That first night, man, what's how's it like, dude? Like, you just
came from the other side.
You just came from the other side. You had cuffs put on you like a perp. You're in, you're either a jumpsuit or you're in some tans, and now you're sitting in some bars on a freaking wafer thin mattress. What's running through your mind?
I'm gonna die in here. There's no way I can overpower fucking 5 guys. I'm a walking target. I'm a fucking cop.
Now, when you originally went that first night, was it protective custody or they threw you?
Protective custody.
Okay.
All right, so they put you in PC, not in general pop.
Yeah.
All right.
But the problem is that most people don't understand about PC is if the guys in general pop want to get you,
They'll go
they're going to get thrown into PC to make the hit on you. So PC is not PC anymore. You're not protected.
I worked at the prison. We ended up having a PC unit inside the PC unit. It was
You know
crazy.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Protective custody is not protective custody. No fucking way there is. You're
You're
gonna get-
isolated, but at least everyone knows where you're isolated at.
Right. So I made sure that I was in good shape. I was doing 1,000 push-ups every day, 300 pull-ups, 1,000 fucking
Jimmy hasn't done 1,000 pull-ups in his life.
and stomach exercise, everything, working out with weights. So I knew I was physically, if I was going one-on-one,
But you know, this is prison. There ain't no one-on-one.
There's no
This ain't
one-on-one.
no martial arts movie.
so I'm saying, okay,
Especially when you're an ex-cop.
there's a good chance I'm gonna die
Yeah.
here. There's nothing I can do. So when I'm in Rikers the first night, I'm on the fucking front page of
Poster.
Daily News. It says, judge slams police brass for backing cop thief.
I read that headline today.
I'm like, motherfucker. So I walk up to now they take me out of fucking holding cell. You know, when you're going into a dorm. I'm like, what are you fucking talking? Dorm?
Oh, that's really a setup.
I said,
Damn.
I said,
Lord, woo.
I said, you realize you're gonna get killed in here? I know it was the judge that fucking did
Judge
it.
Andrea made a call.
It was valid, see? I'll put your PC, but you're going in the dorm. You're not getting out.
Ain't nothing safe about a dorm, bro.
So they're holding up the fucking paper. And there's about 15 guys in the inside staring at like, one guy's like, you put me in here, motherfucker.
Oh, they were watching the news. They knew you were coming. They were waiting.
Holding fucking newspaper.
Yep.
So I tell the guard, I'm like, listen, you can't fucking put me in there. Now my eyes are glassing, now I'm getting pissed. I said, they're going to kill me. You can't show me you're scared. I go, let me ask you, would you be fucking scared? I said, you ain't put me in. So I fucking shove him. And I knock him down. I'm like, charge me again.
There you go.
Fuck it, charge me again. I'm not doing that. Got up. I don't know what came over me. But I was like, okay, motherfuckers, this is it. Kind of went back into cop mode.
Mhm.
And I went up to the gate. I said, let me tell you something, motherfuckers. You may kill me in here, but I'm going to take fucking 4 of you with me.
Batman came up.
I didn't put any of you motherfuckers in here, so let's bring it. So the gate starts opening, and I'm ready. Shitting in my pants, but I'm ready.
Mhm.
This is black guy, young guy, big, named Country.
Go figure. Country.
We've done a couple at a time.
He's like, if any of you motherfuckers touch this guy, you're gonna deal with me. They all part. I walk up to the guy, I'm like, listen, you ain't getting my shoes. The guy fucking cracked up because I don't want your shoes, man.
You thought you had a new boyfriend.
I'm like, motherfucker. The guy was the nicest guy. He's 18 years old. Was in there for a larceny, auto theft
Yep.
from North Carolina. Gets caught up in this fucking ring.
Now, was this Fed time?
No, the state. I wish I went fed.
That's right, you said right. That's my bad.
So now I'm getting sent up. The night before, he says, Pete, I know you're like a really big father, man, and could you adopt me?
Oh, shit.
I look up at you as a father. I never had a father. What do you fucking say to a guy like that? The guy, I don't want to say he saved my life, but
He stuck his neck out for you.
he stuck his neck out for me, and I didn't have to fucking fight.
Yeah.
So my country, man, I'm flattered by the request, but you're 18, I'm fucking 28.
You're like Brad Pitt adopting Rick and Minority
Yeah.
Cats. That's cool.
So I said, we could be good friends. I gave him my number. He said, all right, cool, I can call you anytime. I'm like, yeah, once I get out, call me anytime. I also made close friends with the president of the Nietas.
Nietas, okay.
So this guy calls me over right after that. Swear to God, this shit happened. He says, listen, you're a really cool guy. We got your back in the end. I made some calls. We're making you an honorary member.
Oh,
So I'm like,
holy shit.
I can't be a fucking gangbanger. I said, listen, man, I can't do that. I came in here alone. I gotta go home alone. But again, I'm flattered, you know. He said, well, can you do me a favor? Can you have somebody from the outside check on my daughter? She's in the hospital. She broke her eardrum. I made a call and had it done.
Yeah.
They checked on her and they made sure she was okay. I never fucking forgot it. When I was in through the system, I would get a guy come on, so-and-so says, hello, don't worry, we got you back. But at that time, if you're gonna fucking fight, you're gonna fight a level.
Yeah.
I had a few scuffles in there.
For dudes who've never been locked up, let them know how big respect is in prison. Because, you know, some guys have never been, some guys have, you know, have never even, you know, they know what they know in movies. But, you know, you being on that side, how big is your freaking, your talk game or respect inside the walls?
Well, that's why I was telling Ramon before and you, your biggest weapon in life is your mouth, the way you speak to people. And I just had a good talk with all these guys. I talked the game the right way. It's horrifying for me to say that I became one of them. But I had to because it was the only way I could fucking get out alive. I always kept my blue blood in me, but I couldn't be a cop in there. I had to be them.
Going back to, like you said, with the cops, when you
Yeah,
joined
yeah,
the task
yeah.
force, you became one of them. Here, you
It
became one
was
of
just the
them.
only way I could survive it.
Adapt, adjust, and overcome.
And I wasn't a thug in there. I just kept to myself. But when I would talk to these guys, you talk like a fucking inmate. You don't talk like a cop. And
Say talk to them, not at them.
And that was the respect I got from them. And they knew, and I was pretty fucking built back then. And like you said, I knew if it was a one-on-one, chances were I was gonna fucking win. But prison's not one-on-one.
Yeah, right.
They wanna get you, they're gonna get
Say
you.
UFC, son, slow down.
So
Not in prison.
it was the way I spoke to guys.
So
And
how much time did you do total?
2 years.
2 years.
And it felt like fucking 20.
I'm sure it did.
You know, and I don't wish that shit on anybody. I really don't.
Trust, I got a close family member that went through a similar situation. I know where you're coming from.
And believe me, IAB called me down after I got locked up. They threw a shield on the fucking desk. They said, give us the dirty cops you know. You come to work for us, all the charges go away, and you get your fucking shield because we know you want it. We know how bad you want your shield. You're a really good investigator. Come to work for us. And this is the same guy that fucking just went through my house.
Yep.
When I surrendered, it was this guy, Lieutenant Honorado, was a fucking douchebag. And the sergeant, that was a really cool guy. My living room wall had 100 fucking citations on it. The guy's looking at it, the sergeant, he's like, we don't belong here. This guy's a fucking arrest machine. Why are we here? This is, and he mumbled it under his breath. And my psycho ex-wife fucking saw it, heard him say it. He actually became a witness to me. The state called him, and they kept asking, well, did Officer Thron do anything wrong that day? Did he follow regulations? Yes, he did. So his superiors were pissed at him, but he became my witness.
No, basically, yeah.
But anything come down his way of it?
To tell you the truth, I'm not really sure.
Because obviously, you know, people don't understand that, especially in this business. When it's funny because I've always said to people that, you know, that there's two ugly words in law enforcement. Your boy or your girl. You never really hear it in a good light. You only hear it when somebody fucks up.
Yes.
When you go, yo, hey, your boy,
Yes.
your girl, and then it usually followed by
Yes, exactly.
So it's not usually say, hey, your boy, oh my God, that dude's a crackerjack. He's a good dude. It's usually on some negative shit.
8% of times it's on negative shit.
And when you go through you know, I went through a serious situation, and you see how people either got your back or they aligned themselves away from you. Because you know, I understand everybody wants to end up on the winning team at the end of the day. Nobody wants to say, "Hey, you suck. Let me get on your team." So you really see, like, you know, like I said, I went through a situation, and you know, I remember shit getting back to me, and you know, dudes talking shit about me, and dudes talking about I'm gonna do time and all this, you know, and you only saw a couple of dudes that stuck by you, dudes that, you know, weren't having it, dudes that weren't hearing the gossip, and
just sticking to their guns.
you know what I mean? So you know, and I always respected guys like that because I knew that they weren't jumping on the bandwagon. You know, there's a saying in Spanish that says anybody can make a kindling off a fallen tree.
Sure.
You know, once a tree's fallen, anybody's a tough guy. It can make fucking kindling out of it. But can you cut a tree down yourself? No, you can't, bitch.
Right.
But when it's down on the ground, everybody's a tough guy.
Absolutely. And, you know, for 20 years, I only thought that two guys had my back, the lieutenant and the captain. Then I wrote my first book, and I started making friends with a lot of old cops that I work with, new cops throughout the country on Facebook. And a lot of these guys in my command said, listen, we had your back, we were fucking threatened. If we go to your trial, if we even speak your name, we're gonna get fucked. So how can I be pissed off at these guys? They got families, they got careers.
What's that big ugly word? Ostracized. When the
Exactly.
machine, people don't understand, when the upper machine speaks.
You got if you want to keep your job, you got to listen.
They got you by the balls.
So I have a family member.
Because it definitely doesn't sound like you harbor anything against.
I don't. I'll always be blue. Always. I'll always bleed blue until I fucking die. And I can't hold it against them for two cops that fucking were so terrified that to keep their jobs that they said what the DA wanted them to say. I can't do it. I lived by a saying when I was a cop that the job puts you can do the wrong thing for the right reasons, and then you can do the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Oh, sure.
And I lived by that. I always tried to do the right thing. Sometimes it was the wrong way to do it because I was aggressive. Listen, if I'm guilty,
Been there, done that.
I never took a dime in my life on that job. I didn't have to. I was making enough money with overtime. Did I bend the rules? Fuck yeah, I did. Was I heavy-handed? I wanted to go home.
Perhaps.
I'll be the first one to say yes. If I thought you were going to do something to me in the street, I struck first. What are you going to do? You can't get hit.
That's it.
I got hit once. The guy ripped my fucking nose off my face with a fucking 45 automatic because I didn't act first.
Yeah.
He ripped my fucking nose right off. It was hanging here. It was so bad that I thought I was shot in the face. It was January 10th. It was fucking freezing out. I thought he shot me. That's how loud it was.
Wow.
That was just your cartilage.
In my stupid ass fucking mind, I dropped to my knee. I'm like, motherfucker, you didn't knock me out. I'm like, why am I thinking this? And every time my heart's beeping, the guy took off my phone. I got into a shooting with him. My heart's beeping. I don't know where I am. I'm staggering the street, trying to put over a transmission. My partner's in a fucking full-out pursuit with the guy and exchanging shots. So I'm waiting to put my transmission over. I'm giving the wrong place. I'm on 132nd. I'm telling him I'm on 125th.
A couple blocks away.
Give him my wrong location. I need help. My heart's pumping. Every time my heart pumps, stream of blood shot. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. And I can't feel my face. I don't know that my nose is. I walk right into it.
Probably good for them. It was good that it was cold. So
Yeah.
that was like a numbing agent.
And it's funny because
If it was warm,
when we went out that night. I was working with this guy, B-Dog, nice guy. I'm like, yo, B, I hope we don't have to hit anybody. It's fucking freezing tonight. Fucking 20 minutes later, it was true, this guy's got hit.
20 minutes later, your nose is 17 degrees that way.
Yeah. I mean, they had to fucking do plastic surgery on me. I use sprays, nose sprays 4 or 5 times a day, just to breathe.
Yeah.
It's nothing I can do. I got whacked. I took my guard down.
So you did 2 years. What was that first day back on the other side like? Walking out of that place.
It's great to see my mother and brother and sister.
Let's back up. How was your leaving? How was leaving your temporary tribe?
That last week was a fucking nightmare. First thing that happened to me was I'm training, and I got 2 65-pound dumbbells, and I'm doing flies with this big monster, great guy. And I swing back up, you know how you swing up and go to put the weights on my legs. I miss my leg, and I'm letting go of it after that. It drops down on my boot, and fucking breaks my toe.
So when you got broken up?
No, I was the one.
You got bad luck with your toe.
Then I put my fucking feet. So I go to scream, and this guy puts his hand over my mouth. He's like, don't scream. I saw what happened. You're going home in a few days. Suck it up and don't let them know you're hurt. If they think you're hurt, you're not going home. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna walk, dude? He's like, you broke that shit. So I'm walking on the fucking heel of my foot and keeping my fucking toes up.
Limping ain't easy.
So I walk straight in, and the cop that I'm bumping with, he's an ex-cop. I'm like, man, I broke my fucking foot, dude. I dropped the weight on him. He's like, let me see. I don't think we should take my fucking shoe off. He's like, we gotta look at it. Takes it off. He's like, oh man, you broke your toe. I'm like, get a new sock. Because we gotta put that back on. You're gonna have to sleep in your fucking shoes for the next few days. So I slept in my shoes, and I'm playing, and it snowed a little. So we're playing in a fucking football game on concrete.
Makes sense.
And there's this guy named Moose, big black guy, big dude. I thought he was buddies with me. We were talking nice to each other the whole time. The last fucking play of the game, I have the ball, I'm running for a touchdown. And he fucking rams his fist into my stomach.
The fucking longest yard.
So I go down, like, what the fuck, dude? He goes, that's how we do it in Buffalo, copper. I'm like, I'm not a cop, motherfucker, I'm a convict like you. So I got up, walk away, but I have a excruciating pain. So my cellmate, he's pissed. He's going to go after me. I go, whoa.
Broke toe, crack sternum.
Keep it right here. Take my jacket off. Guy shanked me.
Oh shit.
That escalated.
So I'm like, fuck Mac. And I'm bleeding. I got a fucking hole like this. I'm like, dude, we got to stop the bleeding. One of the CEOs liked me so much that he gave me metal utensils that I always had to hide.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, take the fucking spoon out. Give me the book. I said, you gotta heat that shit up, or you gotta seal it up.
Cauterize that shit.
See, I don't wanna do it, man. I'm like, if you don't, I'm not gonna stop bleeding, and I'm not going to fucking the medical unit. And I'm gonna have to stay here. So I put the book in my mouth, I'm like, flipping out. He took the spoon, like, he hit, and still, drink went out, like, do it again. I don't want to be bleeding. Fucking do it, man. Lights it up. And I'm like, I just fucking collapsed in my bed. He's like, I'm going after fucking Moose tonight. I'm like, leave it be. If you do that, it's going to come back on me.
It's gonna escalate, and I'm not going home.
So my last week, It was fucked up.
A lot of haterade.
Yeah, that's what usually they tell you, keep it to yourself when you go home.
Yeah, that's what they tell you, you going home, bro, you just sit in the
One of
room.
two things people do, they either keep it to themselves or do something stupid to get thrown in the hole to EOS out of
To isolate themselves.
Like I'd be at the table in wreck like this because I didn't want to get fucking sliced.
Yeah.
They aren't going to do it on this side because there's no person in back of me and I can see it. So I'd always be like this,
You want that bug
covering
free.
my face. I don't need that fucking jailhouse scarf.
Like that puto mark. Between your time on the street and your time inside, what do you think was a better university, your time on the job or prison time?
On the job, 100%. 100%.
How do you feel about seeing both sides? Was it
Seeing both sides.
not a good experience, but
Not
it's
a
an
good experience, but it definitely. My first book, it was mainly about me being in the street as a cop. I talked about some of the jail time. And I talked to my wife, Donna, and Ralph, and they both were saying, you really gotta talk about your jail time. And I really
As
didn't
he's
want
speaking
to.
about this end of tour, the cop, one under the prison time. Go get them and read them.
And so I did, I said, I don't wanna do that. I just didn't wanna do the second book, because I wasn't proud of it. I was proud of the first book, because I'm talking about myself being a cop. But I did it, and I talked about it. It definitely, you do see things a different way, because I'd say not half, but about 25% of these guys that are in, they're fucking good guys.
Just lazy, don't wanna work, don't want a 9 to 5.
Well, they just got caught off, with a DWI or, you're not DWIs, or you get DWI, you're going for a year.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll give you 1 day less than a year, if you get a good judge. But they'll give you that year, so you gotta go upstate. That's a mistake, they made a mistake. And you could always tell, even some of the hardcore guys, they just wanna go home. They stay out of trouble. But there are guys that, they are so institutionalized that it's their lives. And I just kept saying to myself, I can't be like that. I'll be one of them now, but I can't want to come back here. I cannot become a criminal. Even though I got fucked from my job, I'm not going back. I gotta stay.
Jimmy would tell you, we used to see the return offenders constantly.
Like I've seen guys come in as, we call them YOs, youthful offenders. And then like at my end of my career, they're still at it. And I used to tell them, dude. And I remember I told one guy and he thought I was insane. And I told him, I said, you are obviously mentally ill. He goes, how do you figure I'm mentally ill? And I said, I'm gonna break it down to you. I said, if you go to a restaurant, right, and the service sucks, and the food was horrible and the wait staff was shitty, would you go back to the place? He goes, no. I go, but you keep coming back here and the food sucks and the staff is horrible. I go, but you keep coming back, so you're mentally ill. And he looked at me and he goes, that's fucked up, G. I never looked at it like that. And I go, you keep coming back. And I go, look, dude, join the hardest game there is, the 9 to 5. Punch in, bitch. Stop trying to live the easy life. And, cats would look at me, but it's just, I always said in prison, it's not always bad guys. It's just dudes that don't want to work a 9 to 5. It's just some guys, look at guys who are talented musicians. They're not built to work a 9 to 5. They're not built to punch a clock, but they got talent.
And they end up doing the 9 to 5 or more. They keep working at it.
It's just.
But a lot of these guys, there's a part of Harlem, the 3-2 precinct where those 2 cops got killed. It's convict land there. It's hardened convicts. There are certain parts of the city and housing projects where, you got a few guys that get locked up. 3-2, it is hardcore convicts. And these guys know one thing, doing crime. They don't give a fuck for one reason or another, but they know one thing. They get locked up, they got 3 meals and a bed.
3 hots and a cup.
And you've got another guy
Check my grill.
that might teach them, listen, you did that wrong. come over here, I'll teach you how to do it the right way.
I used to get, you know what I used to get a kick going, touching up neck? I'd be touring in the prison and they're in the day room watching cops. Look at that motherfucker, he just got caught! Motherfucker, you're talking about it in the day room of a prison. You got caught.
One of my highlights was, I'm walking through one day and one guy goes, yo, what time is the royal wedding? And I go, you thought, motherfucker, you really worried about the royal wedding? Come on, man, let that go. I go, you really worried? I always thought it was funny how you see a bunch of killers around watching Days of Our Lives. And I'm like, was you watching that on the street? Killer, shut up, man, leave us be. And I'm like, oh my God, we got to find out today whose baby that is. And I'm like, did you really just say that? Did you really just say that?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What you would call it? It was, what do you think about this new policing?
It's fucking crazy. That's why these cops that's why they're getting shot, because they can't. When I was a cop, this is not to brag or.
No, we're stating facts.
It's a different world now.
I shit you not, every night. My gun came out of my fucking holster 30 times a night. I was dealing 95% of violent crimes. It came out, and that was it. If you make a move with a knife or a gun, you're gonna get shot.
People are too scared. They don't know how to talk to people.
They can't do that now.
It's so crazy because, people watching us on YouTube right now, thank you very much. And if you've seen the distinguished bearded gentleman walking around taking pictures, that's our brother. We call him White Boy Tim. He did 25 years on the job, just retired, a couple of weeks back, and he's part of the crew here. But we went to the funeral last week, the second one for Detective Mora. And while we're standing there, the place was, flooded, it was beautiful on a horrible day. But I pointed this guy out to Tim, and he was an older black fellow, a little older than us. And he had a film quality to him. And I go, Tim, look at this guy. I go, doesn't he look like the camera would love him? Like, shouldn't he be in a movie getting knee deep in somebody's ass, chewing them out, calling somebody a fucking rookie, belittling somebody? And, Tim made a point. He goes, well, that's what's kind of wrong with today. He goes, you can't chew nobody's ass out today because they're going to go to HR, the union, and, you're going to end up saying sorry to this cat because you hurt his feelings.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Harper. Imagine that to these days.
Exactly. So, so it was funny because, we got into a whole discussion about that, about, this constant state of bitch-assness that, we are in right now, that is cursed upon us, that you can't address somebody like they should, it's like everything is, oh my God, let me give you a hug, Pete, here's a Hallmark, here's a lollipop, so it was just.
I don't know how they allow, I always talk to Ralph about this, a person come up to their face.
That's Ralph Friedman, Street Warrior, for all you novices that haven't been listening to the podcast.
Yeah, Ralph Friedman, great guy. And
Episode 6, I have one of those.
And start screaming at him and call him a fucking piece of shit. I know what I would have did. I would have reared my head back and headbutted the guy. You can't allow somebody you're in his space. Can you please, and they're saying, could you please? There's no please. You gotta, I really feel bad for these cops. I really do, because they can't, there's no stopping questions. They took that away.
I read a spot in your book, not to cut you off. One of the guys told you, you're an old school cop in the wrong era.
That was Satch, but I called him Senna.
Yeah.
Because he had trained me. Yeah. And it was the last day of training, and he wanted to walk with me. So I did the tour with him. He said, you were born in the wrong era. You should have been a cop in the 50s.
Is that the same guy that told you, I don't let nobody call you brother, but you're one of the few?
Yes.
That's him, Zim.
God bless the old school, and it's like, look where we're at today. I always make a big joke about it amongst these guys, and it's definitely wrong, because I said, in 20 years, you're not going to need a gun. 20 years, all you're going to have to do is carry a little peanut butter and flour, because these kids are allergic to life.
Oh, Jimmy says this all the time, and I love that line. Pretty soon, all you're going to need is peanut butter. You throw that in, they all die. Everybody's allergic.
Everybody's allergic to life nowadays. you got all these enabled kids. In 25 years, 20 years, I'm glad I'm on the way out. Who's gonna protect me? When I call 911, who's gonna come to my door? Yes, you have a disturbance. Who the fuck's gonna look out for me?
We're gonna have to look out for ourselves.
That's why I keep my ammo, because I'm scared. I'm like, nobody's gonna protect me when I'm an old cat. I'm like, who's gonna help me out?
I don't think it's gonna be 20 years, man.
Because
I think it's gonna be fucking 10.
I'm talking about, I was gonna say 10, 15
They'll
years.
give them their mace.
They're gonna be bobbies, like England.
Exactly. I don't even think they're gonna give them fucking nightsticks.
Yep.
Give them cuffs.
train them in dirty looks at the academy. What?
They
Dirty looks.
have to talk them. They want them to talk their way out of it.
IPC skills.
Exactly. So hold on. How did the guards treat you inside? Obviously, they knew who you were,
I'd say it was about 50-50. Some of them were assholes.
and
Like, I had one, he just loved calling me convict.
he could grind you like to grind you.
Just to touch on that before we go any further, just so you know, like Jimmy just said, our brother here just retired 25 years. What's your license plate? Excellent. That's what his license plate is. He's got a vanity plate on his car. Every cop waits a cop.
So you had one guy just like to grind you.
He's just a douchebag. Most of them were okay. I mean, even when I got off the bus the first day, one guy said, looked at my jacket, he said, "You don't belong here. Just keep your head down and don't talk to nobody."
That must have given you an ounce of comfort right there.
It made me feel good, but
There's only so
I'm
much.
still fucking chained to this gorilla.
Yeah.
That was two sizes of me, and I'm going, fuck. And I gotta walk like a half a mile in a blizzard.
Can we dance with your dates?
You ever watch that movie, Fella?
Oh yeah.
It's funny, like I said, we know the inside very well, and we watch stuff, and we're like, ugh, dude, whatever. But one of the guys that did our podcast last year, Mr. Starkman, and he worked ICE down during the cocaine colony.
Bob Starkman.
Starkman, and a shout out to Bob. And he started first in the Green something prison in New York, and he said how he took everything he learned out to the street, and he said how it made him that much better, because he said, wow, he goes, you do learn a lot inside.
Bob Hartman inside both courts. Another for another podcast.
That's sure, check him out on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Bob Starkman said that he owes a lot to his inside time.
Oh yeah.
What made him what he became on the outside.
I tell you a fucked up story. This is the last week before I'm going home. I'm going home Tuesday. This happens on a Saturday. And I knew the guy. I used to be a porter in the hole. So I knew one of these guys from the visitation rooms. He's in for a DWI. He's going home like a month.
So you were a worker inside set.
Yeah.
So that means he does stuff inside, and he does stuff for the officers, and he runs around.
Well, no, actually, he was on another floor. He got thrown into the hole. But I know the guy from the visiting room. His wife and his kids used to come and visit him all the time. Just a family guy that got locked up for fucking DWI. Nice guy. So I see him in the second cell. I'm like, John, what happened? He's like, somebody was looking at my wife in the visitation room, and he touched her. Oh, so I got up and fucking took care of business. Shit unfolded. He gets thrown in the hole. That night I go back up to my dorm, and I'm hanging out with my cellmate, who was another cop. And the heating system was in the floor. The grates, so you can hear everything going on.
Mm-hmm. That's the phone system.
Excuse me.
We call it the phone system.
Yeah. And I'm right above the guy John's cell. I hear his door open. He's getting smacked all over the fucking place. And I hear him screaming. I didn't do it. I know the two COs who, these were two of the douchebags that I didn't like.
Yeah.
They're beating the fuck out of this guy. And I'm sure you guys have heard men scream.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucked up.
Jimmy used to be my roommate. He used to scream all the time.
But
That's what we call snitch. Dude, tell the story.
and it just fucking unnerved me to hear this. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck are they doing to the guy? And we just hear silence. Just shut the door. 3 hours later, I see the coroner's fucking office pull up.
Oh, shit.
I gotta go down there in an hour.
And clean up the mess that he left behind.
So I'm like, fuck. I know the guy's dead. I go down and another one of the COs I didn't like, he's like, it's a shame about John. He hung himself last night.
Sure he did.
So I'm like, oh, really?
So the state police crime scene don't even come in or nothing?
Oh, no, there. State police and crime scene
Okay, okay.
and the corner. Everything's fucking roped off.
Okay, roger that. Wanted to make sure.
I'm sorry about that. I just said the corner.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Just like Epstein hung himself?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
so I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's pretty fucked up. And meanwhile, I'm pissed off because I know what happened. So my shift ends. I go upstairs and I'm like, Mac, they fucking killed him. They're covering it up. And I'm talking low. They fucking hear me.
The phone system?
So I go back down that night to do my last round, and one of the COs that I was very close with, he's like, come on, man. Put the thing up. Do you want to go home?
Shut up.
Don't say another fucking word.
Yep.
Shook his hand. It's the last time I ever saw him. The next day, the sergeant comes in that we were very good friends with. The guy was a cop buff. He was super nice to me and Mac. He says to Mac, who do you want to bunk with when your fucking partner leaves? And I'm like, fucking partner? What the fuck is this?
What's
That's
that
me.
you always say? The only people that have partners are cops and gays.
So he's like, yes, I'll go with Jeff. Forgot what his name was. All right, go out in the rec room. I want to talk to him. I'm like, door closes. He fucking starts poking me in the chest. He goes, you think you're a fucking cop in here? You're not a cop. Whatever you heard and what you think happened, forget it. Or I promise you, you not only won't go home, you'll be forgotten about. So I'm like, he goes, do you understand? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So the whole night I'm like, this is fucked up. These cocksuckers fucking killed this motherfucking kid. Not motherfucking this kid. And I gotta be silent about it. Not that I was gonna say anything there,
Yeah.
but I wanna go home with my kids.
How many kids you got, Pete?
I have 3 kids, all old, but it's one grandchild and 2 on the way. And that fucked me up for 20 years. That I stayed silent. For me, that was kind of an act of cowardness. But I had to get home
You
with
were
my
in a
kids,
fucked
man.
up
So
position.
that's an ugly spot, man. That's to say it's an ugly spot. That's
Am I gonna keep it real and fuck my family, or just shut the fuck
Or
up
am
and
I-
fuck this
okay.
guy?
And am I gonna get killed?
They're gonna silence you one way or the
They
other.
have the fucking power.
They're gonna silence you just like they silenced him.
And that's exactly what was gonna happen. I knew they murdered him. For what was, I have no fucking idea. Because the guy was the nicest guy in the fucking prison.
And that's probably why, because
he
he
knew.
could.
He knew something. He knew something. So he knew
Either
something.
that or he said something stupid back, and then he knew something like you said, and
He knew
it was just fucked up.
He knew something.
And so when I was in, I kept telling my cellmate, he's a really good writer, and he was writing his appeal the whole time I was in. See, Mac, man, I'm not writing a book, dude. He's like, yeah, you should. I'm like, and the cover is gonna be my shield being shattered by the judge's mallet. So, oh, that's pretty cool. I got out, didn't write it because my accident. This is another reason I had many people that said you should go to the Court of Appeals and fight your case. But I didn't want to put my kids through that fucking shit again, or my family. So I never fought it the third time. But I kept saying, I'm gonna write a book. And one day I sat down and started writing. The first time I wrote it, like the first few pages, every other word was fuck.
No.
So my brother is, he reads for Audible.
Yep.
So I give him the first few pages, he goes,
I can't read this shit.
because I can't read this fucking shit. Are you kidding me? Every word is fuck. He said fuck about 200 times. Do you know any other words? I'm like, no. So that book actually took me 2 years to write.
It took you 2 years to get rid of all the fucks.
Yeah.
We gotta replace this with something.
Shit. No.
There was only so many synonyms.
Hey, Geiger's got a lot of swearing. He's on a book.
So I got that one out, and then COVID happened. And I wrote the second book in 6 months. And then I decided to do a fiction book on a serial killer, Manhattan Jack. Made Ralph one of the Ralph Friedman, one of the characters. My wife's one of the characters. She's a sniper in it. And
The girl with the dragon tattoo.
and the fourth, we just saw that for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
She loved it, yeah. And my fourth book is out of Archangels, and the fifth book that I just finished will be out next week, called Second to None. That's about other cops and their stories. Ralph's in that one too. Gotta write about Ralph. He was a wild man in the streets.
Listen, Ralph is a hero. Ralph is known.
He's
Even if you don't want to write about Ralph, Ralph is somewhere tied into the story.
What does Howard Stern call Chuck Norris? Jewish karate star. You know, I call Chuck Norris like, you know, Jewish superhero.
Yep.
But,
he did a podcast. It was called One Tough Jew.
Well, talk to you. Yeah.
see that? Love that guy.
Yeah, great guys.
So you see our you see my nice restored phone booth here. Took me a long time to restore it. You know, this is the stuff I do. This is what I like. I don't know why. If you asked me a long time ago when I restore a phone booth, I'd be like, man, I don't know what you into a phone booth. But it's a magical phone booth, and we always like to ask a big question. And sometimes I forget about it, and my boys always pick me up.
I had it
on
written down just in case
you know,
you forgot.
I do forget it sometimes, and we always ask the question. If you're gonna go into that phone booth and pick up the phone and talk to 20-year-old Pete, what would you tell him? You have a second?
No, I don't even need it.
This isn't like the lightning round. If you could pick up that phone
I've been
and call
asked
the
this so many
20-year-old
times.
version and say, hey man, go.
I would tell him to be the same cop he was. But on that night, don't go in that fucking apartment. Stay away from that collar. Make the collar on the street. I wouldn't change anything else in my career. And that I get out of that night, I do 30 years on the job. My main goal was to be a detective, and I wanted to be a first grade detective. I didn't want to be a sergeant or a lieutenant or a captain. I wanted to be a first grade detective.
So you go in that night, you're writing a Ralph Friedman Street Warrior book. You go in that night and we have end of tour.
With everything that you've endured, I'm not even gonna say happened, I'm gonna say endured, because I think that word holds a lot more gravitas. Have you had to make amends with anything?
No, I think that happened for a reason, and that reason's sitting right next to me, that I was able to get married to my wife, Adana, because I wouldn't have met her then. Because I probably would have been in the street being a fucking wild man still.
And we say things happen for a reason.
And
Right, wrong, or indifferent. There's a reason why it happened.
happy as shit that it did happen, because my life's better with her in it.
Very good. She's off camera, we really can't hit her on camera, because she's set up that way. No, that's deep stuff, Pete, you know. Ramon, anything? Hey, Ramon,
No, I think think Pete answered all the questions without being asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, every note.
I want to thank you from the crew, myself.
I do have one thing to add.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a little research on you. I see you were interviewed by a lady named Ramona. Now you got interviewed by a guy named Ramon. You're the first person, Ramona and Ramona.
He used to be Ramona too.
Easy there.
You know, thank you for everything, Pete. Thank you for trekking.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for trekking down to the studio and spending this evening with the boys and myself. You know, I know they enjoyed it as much as I did. You know, we always like talking to real cats in the studio. You know what I mean? We enjoy it. And when Friedman called me up and told me about you, and got on Amazon, grabbed the book, and
One thing I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I haven't heard a podcast in a while. I tell everybody we don't go for quantity, we go for quality. So whenever we do put the podcast out, it's because it matters, it's because somebody needs to be heard. So here you are.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much. And so people, once again, you got our boy right here. Check him out right here. He's on Amazon. He got a whole line of books. Check him out. Good reading from a real dude. Has gone through some real shit, both sides of it. And
He's got a good story. We touched up a little bit on it. You want the gritty details? Read the book.
Read the book. And like I said, it was a very good time. Sorry, Mom, we went 2 hours. I lied.
We told you 1 hour, we went 2.
Sorry about that. But it was a good time tonight. And like I said, guys and Mila, thank you a million for coming out to us. If we could ever do anything for you,
Thank you so much.
thank you again. And on that one, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We had some YouTubers checking us out tonight. Once again, people, let's try to be better human beings. Let's try to take care of one another. Good night, America, wherever you are.
Keep it real. Good. That was a good time. Dynamite.
Wow,
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
very good.
That was good, yeah.
This is really great. Thank you very much.
2 hours and 3 minutes. Holy stuff.
No, it's like, doesn't
Easy.